Hey guys, so this started as a very scripted video, and before I was able to finish the script, I just sort of went on a tangent, so it kind of turns into a little bit of a cohesive rant. But I think it works. So, I hope you guys enjoy. Hey, I know you don't really like talking about this, but I feel like we gotta bring it up at some point. What the fuck's going on with Black Ops 6? So, it's been a minute. Between my break from making videos, but also just in regards to me playing this game in general. If I want to play zombies, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to pick any other game out of the series at this point. Let me tell you how far it's gone. I played Vanguard and had an overall more immersive experience, despite the game's many flaws. I'm not saying that this Vanguard's better than Black Ops 6, because, let me be clear, it's not, at least in my opinion. However, one significant problem of mine that I've had with the game pretty much since its launch is the game's inability to immerse myself in the game's experience. Like Black Ops 2, every single time I'm immediately immersed. Black Ops 4, absolutely, despite the game's very ugly-ass HUD. The cinematic elements in most of Black Ops 4's map selection make the game one of the most immersive experiences in the entire series. Even Vanguard is a very artistically driven experience. While it isn't necessarily a good overall video game, Vanguard really nails it with the art direction. Everything here just kind of falls into place. I think the best example is from Shi No Numa Reborn, which was a last-minute remake, absolutely. It was even admitted by Treyarch that development shifted a complete 180 last minute to implement realm-based zombies, something that was entirely missing from the game at launch, due to the feedback, which was not good. No one liked Duranfeng. Yeah, I remember when they came out with the whole blog post and everything revealing Shi No Numa Reborn, but saying it was going to take some time because it was not planned. Like I said, Vanguard, it's not a good game. Black Ops 6 clears it 100%. Like, let me make that very clear. But when it comes to the immersion of the game, Black Ops 6 needed to do a hell of a lot better. From the reused voice lines for almost all of their big-ticket operators to the overall baffling limited-time modes, and the unfortunate letdown with the return of Grief mode, as well as Black Ops 7's reveal draining any remaining life out of Black Ops 6. That's what I'm going to break down today, and explore why the lack of immersion and direction is killing Black Ops 6 zombies. So when I say lack of immersion, what do I mean by this? And it's actually a few key reasons why I believe this is happening, at least for me. And for starters, I think these bundles have gotten out of hand, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really mind all of these back in Cold War, for example, because the operators actually brought more character to the game. And granted, that was because not having any set crew in Cold War made accomplishing this task far easier. But in Black Ops 6 though, a majority of these operators, they share the same basic lines to a T. And I think we all know the smooth too smooth meme by now. However, it wasn't always like that with Black Ops 6 either, as the bonus operators at launch, such as Brutus for example, have some really clever original voice lines that suit the character of Brutus. Whereas I don't really think anything about the ballerina's quotes really jump out at me as clever references to her character or franchise. But in Cold War, you had Ghostface, which was full of them, especially in the zombies mode, where they'd reference everything Scream, and it would genuinely make me feel like I was playing as a Ghostface killer from a Scream movie. They were well done, I will give them that. Now, of course, Cold War wasn't perfect with the 80s action-themed skins that ultimately just reused voice clips from the characters' respective films. Ultimately, though, Cold War has skins with actual character. And another area that's been an issue with me is the personality of the maps being stripped. Now, I did say in my review for Shattered Veil that Shattered Veil was a really big step in the right direction with its score, design, and overall aesthetics of the map. However, it still plays mostly like a Black Ops 6 map. These maps have a formula, and all zombie maps do to an extent, but it's always been how about each individual map can adapt the formula to fit the style of gameplay that the developers are going for. Buried, for example, was batshit easy, but was most likely developed with that in mind. Buried was a fun sandbox map. Buried Retrospective video in the description. Whereas Transit was a grueling, unforgiving experience that gave you very limited resources, despite the map's extremely large size. Out of the Dead and Origins pushed this further by making the experiences more of a quest-driven experience versus the open sandbox atmosphere of maps past. These maps are all different in a lot of ways, molding the formula around the experience that they were trying to make versus molding the experience around the formula, with the same gameplay elements in BO6 lurking throughout all of Black Ops 6's experiences, with no change, with the exception of the Golden Armor Easter egg quest in the Tomb, alongside Terminus relying a lot on boat transportation due to the islands. Now comparing this to Cold War will ultimately give you similar results, and honestly worse results in a lot of ways. Cold War maps were very rushed, taken from the campaign. It was developed during a pandemic. However, despite that, Cold War did offer this type of gameplay for the very first time. And again, it was developed in a very short amount of time during the pandemic. And not only is the development history a factor, but Cold War also offset all this with this new attempt at the zombies formula with Outbreak. Love it or hate it, Outbreak was something new and groundbreaking for zombies at the time. And Black Ops 6 is effectively missing this mode entirely, which honestly just makes the game feel like it's missing something when compared to Cold War. Because it is. Yet, despite the lack of unique personality and illusion, this game was touted as being developed for 4 fucking years. 4 years, when this game feels worse than Cold War in many regards. Cold War didn't have tac sprint. Cold War had offline capability. In Cold War, it also had Outbreak. Now to combat that, I would love to say that, oh, but Black Ops 6 has all these game modes. It's got Grief. Grief returned. Oh, Grief. Good grief. Fuck me. No private match capability. Something every other limited time mode up until that point it offered. And it's nice that Grief isn't a limited time mode like every other game mode they've introduced this game, but it's so disappointing to see it neutered the way it has been neutered. Like, thankfully a good chunk of the core gameplay issues at this point have been addressed with Season 4 Reloaded, but to exclude private matches seems just brain dead. Especially when considering that Black Ops 2 had it. Black Ops 2, which released in 2012, had private matches for Grief. And they were super fun. It was a good avenue for friends to play and have fun, and for YouTubers to make content. Something that Black Ops 6 doesn't allow you to do. Doesn't allow you to have fun. So taking that into account, and the maps, which, again, I wish I could say, oh, but Black Ops 6 has all these maps. It's gonna have 6. It's gonna have 2 more maps than Cold War. Better maps? Yeah, I would argue that. But only 2 more maps compared to Cold War. 4 fucking years. Let me remind you that Black Ops 4 launched with 4 maps and ended with 8. And speaking on the 4 launch maps, I would argue that all of those launch maps were great. I mean, they launched buggy as fuck. Don't get me wrong, but after patch, years down the line, in 2025, those 4 maps beat every single Black Ops 6 map. Shattered Veil, I really do like, and I'm comparing it to like Voyage of Despair. Maybe I prefer Shattered Veil a little bit more, but you understand what I mean. Black Ops 4 had a lot more to offer, and it's just a shame. It's just a shame that it has to be like this, and I wish that they were more communicative about this and what the plan was, the outline of what to expect, because I guess we set our expectations too high. Which, you know, honestly, I don't think we did. And I'm not upset about the 6 maps. I just wish they were 6 maps that felt unique and different in many different ways. But the aesthetics are different. I will give them that. Terminus is amazing, but they all play basically the same. And not to mention, with Black Ops 7 being revealed, it's taken a lot of the spotlight away from Black Ops 6 as well. I truly think this game's on life support at this point, honestly, and it's such a shame to say, too, because you can look back at the beginning of when I started this channel. I was an avid Black Ops 6 fan upon launch, an ultimate supporter, but unfortunately, it's been made clear to me that this game doesn't live up to the promises that it had made upon its reveal 1 year ago. And with rumors for Black Ops 7 stating that Black Ops 6's entire library of maps will be playable inside of Black Ops 7, would be the ultimate final blow to this game. As buying this game for the zombies mode would literally make zero sense if these maps were playable on the new game. Which, that game, by the way, is a whole other topic. And these are just rumors. I don't know if this is going to be factual and if Black Ops 6 Zombies maps will be on Black Ops 7. But if they are, I don't get it. Maybe it'll be because they're gonna play a hell of a lot differently on Black Ops 7. Fingers crossed, but I'm not counting on it. Between that, all of the AI controversy, Julie Nathanson's departure, abrupt departure, and just overall uncertainty, I can't say that this has been a very fun year. What does Black Ops 7 need to do to make things better? Well, if they're gonna port the Black Ops 6 maps over, let's say they do that, it'd have to be for a reason, right? Why would I want to play the exact same map the exact same way 1 year later? You know what I mean? Like, I would hope that if they're going to port these maps over, it's because Black Ops 7 plays significantly different. I'm gonna say different, I'm not gonna say better, because God knows what they can do, but because it plays different than Black Ops 6. That to me is like best case scenario, because I do love the maps of Black Ops. I think Terminus is a very fun map. Shattered Vale is my favorite map in the game. I love the atmosphere. I love the aesthetic. I love the vibes they're going for. And Richtofen and Nolan North is amazing in that map and really brings a lot of the character back to the game. And it sucks to say that because we've had a main crew this entire game and it feels like they've done absolutely fucking nothing. In the Tomb, they didn't fucking speak barely. They had like maybe 5 minutes in-game voice lines that related to the map. And the cutscene, they didn't speak, they just waved their hands out to the Raptor 1 or whatever coming down, and they're like, they didn't say shit. Like, Black Ops 6 touted itself as being a return to form, which, you know, would be greatly appreciated. I think a lot of fans would appreciate a nice, grounded return to form. And then that's what I feel like Black Ops 6 was really advertising as. Round-based zombies is back. And that's great, but you gotta make some really big gameplay changes, man. You got to. Even just giving the option, because I can't say that I haven't had fun with the game. I do. I really do. But it gets stale. I think it gets really stale, and I can't keep playing it. It's like I have to force myself to play it. I forced myself to play. I didn't want to play the fucking game, but I forced myself. I shouldn't have to force myself to play the game. And I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm sure there's plenty of people that really love Black Ops 6 as it is. And to those people, God bless, salute. But for me, it's just not it. But yeah, more options. Options, that'd be good. More options is always better. And speaking of options, game modes. Bring in the game modes, guys. And don't get rid of them after a fucking season. Maybe just release a good, like, zombie snacks with the Seth Rogen. That was a little much. But the game mode itself, I actually really liked zombie snacks. It was fun. They got rid of it and replaced it with a shittier Grief. And I just want to say, I don't think we necessarily have to go back to Black Ops 3. I'm not saying that. There is an alternative route where they could just do something completely different, but just actually make it fun. And I think that'd be really cool too. But I think another big issue of mine is the out-of-game progression. It needs to be in-game. I think it just needs to be in-game. It needs to feel like an arcade game. That's what it's an arcade game. You reset every single game. Start from scratch. Try to get a high round, the high score, if you will. It needs to feel arcade-like. But now it just feels like I'm playing Modern Warfare 2019 again, but this time with zombies, which makes it a little bit better. Which that's a Call of Duty problem as a whole, the Warzone-ification, if you will. I just think that these games need to have their own identity again. Let them do whatever the fuck they want for a bit. Let the minds run wild, because I think that's where some of the best ideas come from. Like, I know everyone remembers Train Go Boom, and that was a really bad campaign, I'm not gonna lie, but they took a swing. It was a miss, but they took a swing, and guess what game's remembered fondly 10 years later? Black Ops 3. Mostly for the zombies and multiplayer, yes, but overall, Black Ops 3 is remembered very, very well. But I know that these people, the developers, are very talented people, and I just hope that they're listening to the feedback, and I hope that they take this into account, because again, to just dismiss these games overall, these newer entries, would be a little bit of a disservice, because I don't think they're just god-awful games, but they have some glaring issues that games from a decade ago just didn't have. So what's the solution? I mean, well, like I said, more options. I hope Black Ops 7 has more gameplay options. And secondly, I think they need to mold the formula around the experience with these maps versus molding the experience around the formula. And I think that's been a really big struggle with Black Ops 6. Cold War too, but Cold War, again, growing pains. I think that's just part of the industry changing as a whole, and it's just what the industry needs to figure out, and I think they will, one day. But I guess I'll end it on this note. The older games felt more artistically driven, where these newer games feel very franchised, very, very Marvel franchised, and that's not to say that Marvel movies are all bad, because there's some pretty good. I just saw Thunderbolts. That was a pretty good movie, but I have the feel. It gives me the feeling that I'm playing something franchise, when it used to feel like I was playing an art, playing an art form of sorts. You know what I mean? I was playing something that mattered, versus playing some slop that was, processed out of a factory. Like that's what I'm trying to say. So I just hope that in the future, Treyarch and Call of Duty in general can bring back creativity to their games. Bring back creatives and artists. I know that the AI content is honestly putting this in a really bad direction, but I can have hope. But yeah, those are just some of the things that I think that this Black Ops 6 is currently struggling with. Call of Duty in general is struggling with, and I've seen it all on Twitter. I've seen the memes of the Beavis and Butthead characters coming into the game. Like, yeah, I'm with you. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Origins Retrospective is on the way soon. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.